You're listening to Back to Basics podcast.
It's 50 years of hip hop.
Yeah.
For some of our greats in Kenya, like Kalamashaka, it's 25 years of TAFSIRI. For COLLO Klepto, I've seen him around. For COLLO Klepto, it's 20 years of COLLO being active in the music industry.
Right.
And he's a very significant contributor in Kenyan hip hop. Bar for bar, he has gone bar for bar with the best in the game. So nilikuwa naangalia hii stuff and I'm like, who's writing about COLLO? Because COLLO ameenda ameunda poster, ametweet, amepost everywhere akiambiwa say I'll be celebrating 20 years of ABCD. Why aren't we like, mbona tuko excited about that kitu kaa hiyo? Because when Jay-Z akisema it's 50 years of being active in the game, bro, the blogs zina go crazy. Even TZ, Agosti 13 ni kesho. That's FitQ. He's celebrating I think 20 years. Yeah, na COLLO ni more or less ni age mates kwa rapping. But ukiona how those ninjas are writing about, for me, I have an issue with how we are writing about Kenyan hip hop, how we are writing about Kenyan music, how we are writing about the Kenyan creative industry, how we are showcasing urban pop culture. Because yes, so many we are in the YouTube era, in the podcasting era, but bado the blogs zina reach to so many people globally. So what tales are us guys telling? So in terms of part of the solutions, unaona tunaweza fanyaje hii kitu ikuwe poa?
Part of the solution.
For you as an artist,
I feel like if you're a journalist, you should really be about it. Like uko excited about job yako, uko excited about kufanya hizo research. That's the only way utatell the story vile inafaa kuteliwa. That's the only way utafanya wase wakuwe interested. I feel like so many people just work because it's work and you get paid, but you're really not about that life. You understand? So if, for example, today they sent maybe msewa Pulse ama whichever newspaper here, anafaa kwe about hip-hop, because this is hip-hop at 50.
Hip-hop at
like,
50.
What do you know about hip-hop? What do you know about Kalamashaka? What do you know about the new school Nini right now? And the way you tell the story has to be very catchy and juicy and like, yo, you just mentioned like it's 20 years for COLLO. I just care to clap. It's 20 years. That's a big deal. Man.
That's major.
That's major.
That's
like
major.
We need to like make these people feel like, yo, you are our stars. You're here. You did that. You paved way for me and for whoever is coming next. So we need to actually just take it as a big deal. Si lazima ikwe ati job ya ofisi, daktari, blah. COLLO amerepresent. Kila msee nikoshoa hapa anajua COLLO Kenya amefanya na Kalamashaka na uko flani and just, you understand? Yes. So sisi pia wenyewe to like the mafans like tukwe about it, to push, tuulize hawa say mtu akiandika article fani tuna make sure tumeongea about it, ndo like tuendeleze hiyo culture ya yo, we want good articles, we want people who are about the music to be the journalists wenye wanatumwa kwa ground and stuff.
Yeah, so I hope hamtani crucify, but I'm gonna throw both the fans and the journalists under the bus on this one.
Please do.
So when it comes to the fans, this is why I'm gonna throw them under the bus. The journalists will say, we're trying to do stuff or we're trying to put out articles that, gets hits, gets numbers. So the assumption is, if I write about this, it's not going to get traction. So let's write about this other controversial stuff, Let's write about something that we think is going to get more hits so that we can do, whether it's advertising, blah, 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 because the whole numbers aspect has ruined everything, right? So with that, that's now where the fans come under the bus, because it's like, hamta some your articles, sasa, because it's not glamorous. Yet, 20 years in the game and consistently in the game, being who he is, still being able to go toe-to-toe with even some of the new school cats, that's actually something glamorous.
That's
so
major.
Yeah, so why, as the fans, won't you receive that? Like, why isn't that important to you guys? That the person who's going to write an article is like, let's write about Shinsky being sued. Let's put a whole page on that, you know? And not talk about this guy who's active in the scene. He's come out tonight, actually. You know, he's with us here. He's celebrating 50 years of hip-hop with us here, which is it's a good thing. We're supposed to be celebrating that kind of thing. So that's why I put both the fans and the article writers under the bus, because now they're looking, it's, you know, this whole numbers dynamics, it's ruined everything. And it's even affected the what's it called? Even the music, for example. Because now everyone's trying to do something based on what they believe the fans will receive. So no one is doing it from the heart anymore, you know? And it kind of messes up everything, in my own opinion.
Oh, that's a fact.
Yeah, so I think the fans, your due diligence, I'm not saying every single one of you must be fully invested. But if you love hip-hop, like some of us love hip-hop, we read so many articles. I'm sure if you ask any random person here about like Joe Budden podcast, they'll be like, oh yeah, I know it.
Most definitely.
You pull up a random episode, they'll be like, oh yeah, I know it. So that means we have the ability to consume this stuff. We have the resources to consume this stuff. People have internet, you have data, you have bundles, you have smartphones, you have laptops, you have tablets, all that stuff. You know, so we can actually consume and appreciate this kind of stuff. So I don't understand how it needs to be packaged for people to get it. You know, that's the part where, as you know, on this side of the spectrum, I'm wondering, like, how does it have to be packaged for you guys to feel like, yeah, it's important enough for me to give it my time?
Let me just add on to that. I feel like, for example, I say like I have so many articles written about me, and it's similar. You can literally just read one and just, you know. So like you can't write the same story about me all the time, you know. Like make it interesting, make it interesting for the reader. Like unafanya mse anataka kubuy hiyo gazeti hiyo day because aliona there's something interesting about this person. Hata kama alikuwa last week, it's something new and different this week.
Yeah.
Because I think personally, one of the most powerful articles I've read in the last, I think, five years is when Oyunga Pala wrote about TAFSIRI, painting the picture of him as a fan, how he understood TAFSIRI, and then him as a journalist, how he understood and consumed TAFSIRI, and TAFSIRI as a song, how it impacted both the social, political situation of the day at that time. And that's an article that was written, I think, almost 15 or 20 years after the track was released. Yeah. So I'm sure there was a youngin who wasn't alive, ama wasn't old enough kusikiza na kuelewa tafsiri hii when it dropped. But huyo ni mtu akisoma that article, I think iko kwa blog yake. Ukisoma hiyo article vile imeandikwa, inakupaintia picture. Nika unasoma Ngugi wa Thiong'o ama Meja Mwangi, uko like, bro, yani ini ngoma ilitoka 97. Yani umsi ameipatia review noma, and it's a whole page kwa gazeti. So I'm like, you don't have to write about Ondu unafanyanga nini, Ondu ABCD. You can pick something out of maybe Shukid. Shukid has a project called The Youngin of Sichirai, where the reviews. Nimeona Hafare yako hapa, Breaking Hearts. Salute. I love what you guys are doing with Breaking Hearts in terms of how you're documenting, how you guys talk about Kenyan music, because it's single-based, ama it's project-based, because that is uni one of the things that is in a lack in the Kenyan journalism space, sana hip-hop journalism, because we are not talking about standalone, maybe albums. You have an album, Gold. Kuna article yote iliandikwa about Gold. Is there any podcast you've gone and you guys have dissected Gold?
It's like one-liner. Debut album, MONSKI's debut album, Gold, period.
Youngin from Sichirai, the same. So I'm like, we need to talk about the specifics. We need to do the reviews. Kenya tuko, as in hip-hop tuko obsessed about the lists, or top 5, top 10, top nini, simba. But there's a lot tunaweza ongea about in terms of maybe instead of having a top 5, Dead or Alive, best rapper. What about a top 5 dope album when zimetoka in the last 5 years? Unaona hiyo ina bring debate flani and it go like, bro, I haven't heard about that album. Nitaenda nisikize, nitaenda ni research and then I'll learn something about it. So I think we need very structural and very well researched hip hop
true.
Journalists.
Back to Basics podcast.
Back to Basics podcast. You're listening to Back to Basics podcast.